Welcome back to History on a Hog. I'm Captain Boss. At the end of the last episode, we left off after I had just reached the Point of Rocks historic site near Elkhart, Kansas. This would have been the final landmark in the Kansas Territory for the travelers on the Santa Fe Trail. For me, reaching Elkhart meant the end of my ride following the trail through Kansas. This would be the limit of my journey, at least on this trip anyways. Incredibly, I found many of the historic places along the Santa Fe Trail that I visited still remain, especially the wagon ruts. You can still go see them, even after 150 years. They are well preserved, especially the location near Cimarron, Kansas. And I was really fascinated by what I found out about the wagon train travelers. What an incredible, hardy, and courageous bunch our American ancestors were. They had some incredible intestinal fortitude and never-ending persistence. They just never gave up. So I've read that the US government in 1850 estimated it would take over 150 years to settle the West, based upon the previous expansion rate of the nation from the landings of the Pilgrims in 1620 to the beginning of the Western expansion with the Lewis and Clark expedition in 1804. This incredible generation of Americans did it in 70 years. I have nothing but great admiration and respect for them. These were the people who made America what it is today, the greatest nation in the history of mankind. I'm not sure we're made of the same stuff today. Anyways, like in previous series, I wanted to conclude with showing a map and a description of the motorcycle route that I took to explore these sites. So let's take a minute to look at the route that I used. Although the original Santa Fe Trail is long gone, there are some parts that have survived, and you can go check them out on your ride. Today, Kansas State Highway 56 follows the original Santa Fe Trail for the most part, so that's your base road to follow. Let's use the Kansas City, Missouri International Airport as a starting reference point. As you can see from the ride planner information box in the upper left corner, the entire ride is 538 miles and would take over 10.5 hours to complete. So it's probably not a one-day ride. After leaving the airport, get onto I-435 South and follow it to Kansas City. Then take I-35 south towards Wichita. Get off at exit 217 at Olathe and get onto State Highway 56 and follow it to Gardner, Kansas. You can stop at the Three Trails Corridor at Gardner Junction at the intersection of Highway 56 and West 183rd Street in Gardner to check out the displays. This is the junction of the Santa Fe and Oregon trails. When ready, get back onto Highway 56 West and follow it to Council Grove. This was the last civilized stop before heading westward on the trail. The town has some wonderful historical monuments of the Santa Fe Trail. Definitely worth a stop. There is also an historical marker commemorating the 1825 Indian Treaty made by William Clark. There's a great restaurant in Council Grove, the Hayes House, that is almost as old as the Santa Fe Trail. The items on their menu are made in the same manner as they were 175 years ago. I enjoyed my meal there, so go check it out. Continue west through Council Grove, picking back up on Highway 56 on the other side of town. Follow it west for about an hour or so through miles and miles of rolling hills and cornfields. The vistas and terrain still probably look like it did 150 years ago, and it's probably what the wagon train travelers looked at as they passed over the same ground I was riding on. Anyways, that's how I imagined it as I rode down the road. Highway 56 will eventually take you to and then through McPherson, and then out towards Lyons. Work your way west through Lyons to about 3 miles outside of town. Here, you will see a roadside marker telling you about Cow Creek and the Buffalo Bills Well historic site. You will have to get off of Highway 56 and onto 12th Road. Follow it down 1 block to the intersection of Avenue N. That's where you will find the Buffalo Bills Well site. Be advised, like many local town roads in Kansas, 12th Road is a dirt gravel road. It would definitely be tough on a touring bike, so it's something to consider anyways. The next stop on Highway 56 will be at the Fort Zara Park, located at the intersection of the highway and Walnut Creek. Today, the footprint of the fort has become a roadside rest area just prior to entering into Great Bend. Upon departing Fort Zara, turn back towards the west. Enter and work your way through Great Bend, Kansas. Continue south for another 10 miles or so to the next major stop on the trail, Pawnee Rock. In the town of Pawnee Rock, follow the road signs that lead you to the historic park site. You can go up to the rock bluffs and see all the carved initials of the travelers who passed through here. And you can follow the park road to the top of the park and see the memorial obelisk and inscription that stands there. You really sense the spirits of all the people who passed through here. It was eerie and awe-inspiring all at the same time. When you're ready, jump back onto Route 56 and continue to follow it south towards the town of Larned. As you work your way into town, keep an eye out for the road signs showing you the way to the historic Fort Larned site, which is located on Highway 156 West. The fort is located about 5 miles west of town. On your way out to the fort on Highway 156, you will see the Kansas Santa Fe Trail Museum on your left. Stop and go check it out. It's well worth the stop to see some artifacts from the trail days. The entrance to Fort Larned is only about a mile or so down the road from here. Turn into the entrance and follow the access road to the parking lot, where you will dismount and park your bike. From here, you can walk into the preserved historic frontier fort. It's definitely worth spending a couple of hours here checking things out. When you're finished exploring Fort Larned, work your way back to Larned and then back onto Highway 56 south towards Dodge City. 10 miles south of Larned, you will enter Kingsley, Kansas. Just east of town is the location of the famous Battle of Coon Creek site, one of the earliest Indian attacks on the Santa Fe Trail and the place where a teenage Geronimo distinguished himself in battle. The historical marker is located about 3 miles east of Kingsley on Highway 50, just after you cross Coon Creek. Although there's not much to see of the battlefield, it is still an historic spot and worth your time to check out. When you are ready to continue, Turn around and backtrack on Highway 50 into Kingsley, and then pick up Route 56 south again, working your way towards Dodge City. At this point, Highway 56 is shared with Highway 50 until reaching Dodge. As you enter the city limits of Dodge City, turn left or south onto Wyatt Earp Boulevard for about a mile until it intersects with Highway 400. Then, turn left and follow Highway 400 east for about a mile until you arrive at Fort Dodge. Remnants of the historic fort still remain as it was in the 1860s. But there's still plenty of history to see here. When you're done checking out Fort Dodge, backtrack on Highway 400, west this time, working your way back into Dodge City. You will notice that the Arkansas River turns sharply west here at Dodge City and runs towards Colorado. Remember, the trail followed the Arkansas River through the area, and that's what I did, following Highway 50 and 400 west. If you're so inclined, you can explore Dodge City. There's plenty of tourist traps in the city to check out. But when you're ready to ride on, get back onto Highway 400 and follow it west towards Cimarron. Approximately 7 miles west of Dodge City, you will encounter the Santa Fe Trail Tracks historical site. It's actually an historic park, and it's where you can actually see the remnants of wagon tracks across the prairie. It's where I shot those aerial scenes that I've been using in the beginning of each episode. Definitely worth a stop to check out. Continue to follow Highway 400, which is also Highway 50, west to Cimarron. Not much remains of the trail or the trail junction known as the Cimarron Cutoff or Route, but it is here that the trail split into two. If you turn south onto Highway 23 in Cimarron, you are essentially following the Cimarron route. Follow Route 23 until re-intersecting with Highway 56 again. Continue following Highway 56 towards the southwest. I chose this route to ride, which is essentially follows the Cimarron route during my travels out here. So, just prior to entering Elkhart, Kansas at the Kansas-Oklahoma border on Highway 56, take a right and follow Highway 27 west. Follow it for approximately 5 miles. This will lead you to the historic Point of Rocks and Middle Springs location at the National Cimarron Grasslands Park. Definitely worth the stop to see. It essentially looks like it did to wagon travelers 150 years ago. And this is where my Santa Fe Trail journey would end.
I hope you enjoyed watching this series. I really enjoyed riding throughout Kansas and putting it together. The Great Plains Prairie has its own charm, and along the way I found the story of the Santa Fe Trail fascinating. I mean, I can still find Santa Fe Trail wagon ruts throughout Kansas. It's incredible. It's amazing what our ancestors were able to accomplish. They had unbelievable determination and incredible intestinal fortitude. So go for a ride and check it out and see what they were able to accomplish. And remember, ride safe. Thanks for watching.